y'all. Welcome to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
Una, we got to dive right in today because
we got no time. Let's do it.
After months of promising, it's finally happening. Today is the day that we start our series on the most prominent socialist in American history, Eugene V. Debs.
Debs.
So we're diving right in. Typically, we have to skim past people's childhoods and, just get to the point they start making news or get a blog or something.
Mm-hmm.
But since Eugene Debs is such a prominent figure in American history, we not only get information about his childhood and pre-politics past, we gotta start with stories about his parents.
Oh,
because it really helps define the man very well. And it's some of the story is it's that Mel Brooks thing that, like, if I fall in a manhole, it's tragedy. If you fall in one, it's comedy.
Yes.
A lot of that. So, two notes before we start. The book that we are using the bulk of our research for this episode comes from the biography The Bending Cross by Ray Ginger, which was published in 1949 through Rutgers Press.
Whoa, okay.
The book is understandably out of print. So if you want to check it out, just go to archive.org, because the former New College of California, who closed up shop in 2008, uploaded their entire library.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so you can read it for like hour chunks at a time until
I'm very impressed by this loophole, Dusty. Good job.
It's the best. I mean, archive.org has given me so many resources, and I'm very happy of them. The other note is that in this biography, it is very pro Eugene. Most of it, I believe, is very true word for word, but there are a couple stories that feel apocryphal, that feel a little tall tale-ish for its own good. So just carry in a couple grains of salt, throw them around once or twice, and you'll get a general idea of what Eugene was.
Got it.
So to start our story, we need to go all the way to the Alsace region of France.
Oh, may we?
Actually, it's what's German for may we? I don't know. It's German. It's more German. Yeah, we. So Alsace is probably one of the weirder parts of France. It's in the northeast. It's right on the German border. And if you ever go to an Alsatian town, it is far more gingerbread cottages and dry white wine than it is anywhere else in France.
It's so very beautiful.
Yeah. So this is where the Debs family is initially from. And it's here that Jean-Daniel Debs was born to a very well-to-do family. From here on out, I'm going to intersperse between calling him Daniel and Dan, because that's just how he went by for the rest of his life. So Dan was born into a very well-to-do family. And if there was any man who was built for a Disney I Want song, it is Dan Debs. His family was very well to do because they owned a series of textile mills, a couple meat markets, but Dan didn't want all that. He didn't want to manage cloth. He didn't want to know how to butcher. He was far more interested in romantic poetry, art, and adventure.
Yes. Classic, third generation of inherited wealth. I care not for your bourgeoisie lifestyle, Papa.
Burn in hell, Papa. Yes, I will take your money. So
I can't for the
1810s, 1830s.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, to make things even worse, when Dan came of age, he defied family expectations, and instead of wooing an heiress or a sub-duke of some sort.
Yeah, nobility.
Yeah, nobility.
A title.
Instead, he had the gall to fall in love with a poor working girl.
Hell yeah.
Not only that, but a poor working girl who worked at one of the Debs' textile mills.
Now it's awkward.
Yeah. So he started wooing a woman by the name of Marguerite, or Daisy as she was more commonly known to friends and Dan. So Dan and his dad would argue for, I don't know, about a decade over this, maybe 5 years. It's not really defined well in the book how long it lasted, but they continually argued about this. His dad was like, "You're shaming the family," and he was like, "But Papa, I love her." And this went on until 1848, when Dan's dad died. And finally, being free of the yoke of the family, Dan bought a boat ticket to New York City and never returned.
Wait, did he leave with Daisy?
No! Adventure calls and waits for no man.
This cad.
I mean, to be fair, Daisy does enter the picture again. So
okay.
So Dan's on the boat to America. It's a 72-day trip. And while he was on the boat, he ends up making friends with an American businessman. And they end up talking over some things. And this American businessman has a really cool venture that he's planning on once he gets into New York City. He just needs a little seed money. And Dan, being a guy of means, is like, "I really love this idea. Here's all of my money."
No. No.
No, it's a good idea. It's great. And so they pull into port in New York City. Dan goes off to, to immigration. His friend is like, okay, I'll see you soon. And Dan never sees him again. To my knowledge, this is the first con man that Dan Debs ever met.
Appropriately, since they were on a boat, he was the victim of a fishing expedition.
Son of a bitch. All right, shut down the podcast.
Yeah, okay.
So now, so now freshly broke and in the kindest city that 1850 has to offer, Dan has to figure out how to survive in New York City.
Gonna make a man out of him.
Pretty much. He takes every job that he possibly can and kind of bounces from work to work. But, he ends up making enough to at least get a place to stay and food to keep him alive. But the thing that gets him forward, the thing that pushes him on every single day, is he writes a letter to Daisy every evening to ask her to leave Alsace and join him in New York City where they will be wed.
Oh.
And Daisy repeatedly writes him back, I don't think this is gonna work. We come from two different socioeconomic backgrounds. Thank you, but no.
I mean, to her credit, he probably had the money to take her the first time around.
Just reading later on, she would have kept him from losing his money in one day.
Yes. She has the street smarts he's missing.
Right. 100%. So, Dan's getting heartbroken and he perseveres to the point that he finally plays the trump card that all truly psychotic men play when they are at their wits' end. And I need to say now to all the couples and lovers listening out there, if you ever get an email, text message, voicemail that has this declaration of love in it, the answer is please don't and never contact me again. Una, can you guess what Dan did?
Did he say he'll kill himself?
We have a fucking winner. Yes, Dan wrote a letter, which I don't know, would probably take 2 months to get to Alsace, saying that unless Daisy gets a boat ticket and comes to America, he is going to kill himself.
Which, it's just a little hard to keep that threat going with the mail being what it was.
Yes, in 4 months, I guarantee I will still want to kill myself.
Because you can just write back and say, okay, raising the funds. And it's okay.
Yeah, you can Nigerian prince your way out of this.
Just need to give 2 weeks notice to your family's business.
I need to let them know what you told me and why I need 2 weeks notice.
Missed the boat the first time. Gotta wait for second boat.
I was waving at the port and it just pulled away. I don't know what happened. And look, as someone who has been in those kind of depths, I don't think I've ever had 4 months of sustained wanting to do that. So it's a wild thing to do in the 19th century, but it's what Dan does. And I'm sorry, but it works. Daisy buys a ticket to New York City, meets him there, and 2 days later they get married.
Oh,
it's not a great story. And honestly, you're right. Dan should have just taken her with him to begin with, but
yeah, because I can only imagine it's okay, now she's left everyone she's ever known. But on top of that, I don't assuming there was I'm sure a lot of physical attraction right off the bat. Yeah. And then also genuine enjoyment of the person's personality. But thirdly, it's okay, rich boy. I can see a better life for myself now. And then she gets to New York and it's oh, what are we doing in the tenements? Oh no, wait, what do you mean what happened on the boat?
What do you mean everyone here intrinsically hates immigrants? Oh, and they hate Catholics more, which I am. Keen. Great. This is gonna work. I would like to reference my past letters, please.
Yes.
As I said, though, since Stan was broke, the couple would struggle. They would have a child, a daughter, but she died shortly after childbirth.
Oh.
This left them both so heartbroken, they just decided to leave New York City permanently. So they started moving west, at some point got on a steamboat on the Ohio River, and ended up in Cincinnati, Ohio. However, the boat that was carrying their furniture was separate from the steamboat, and instead of stopping in Cincinnati, it ended up being a one-way to New Orleans. They never got their furniture back. And now they're in Cincinnati with no furniture.
This dude.
I thoroughly believe it was something that Dan did. I will not ever believe that it was the boat's fault. So the couple never got their furniture, and instead of staying in Cincinnati, they kept moving a bit northwest. And in 1851, they permanently settled in the French immigrant founded city of Terre Haute, Indiana.
Oh, yes.
So once in Terre Haute, things didn't improve much. Sure, they were surrounded by people who understood and spoke French and German, so at least they had that. But, Dan's a fancy boy, and physical labor has never really worked out for him. And that's the only job that's open at the moment. Initially, when getting to Terre Haute, he worked 14-hour days at a packing house where he was paid truly shit wages. So when the opportunity came along for a better job, he took it. He took a job with the local railroad, which paid twice as much, and it was just making railway tracks. Within 2 days, Dan's hands were so blistered, he could not pick up the tools that he needed to dig the tracks.
Oh, soft boy, no.
So the rail company being, back in the day, all rail companies were really, really amazing. Cared for their workers, they made sure everyone was healthy, well fed, all that jazz.
Health
So
insurance.
when Dan was like, I can't pick anything up, they're like, take all the time you need forever because you're fired after 2 days.
My God.
And I think this is the perfect encapsulation as Dan as a worker. He's gonna get a job. He will not hold it.
Incredible. Yeah, because this poor boy was like living off of Byron and Rilke and
Oh,
and then
100%.
left for New York City.
Yeah, he was like, Victor Hugo, you really know what's up. And then you put a pickaxe in his hand and he's dead by the evening. Also, I should note the couple during this time lost their second daughter shortly after childbirth. Dan would bounce from shit job to shit job until the birth of the couple's third daughter in 1854. So at this point, the couple was beyond paranoid that they would yet again lose another child before the age of 1. And Terre Haute at the time was what historians would call just a complete shithole. The water was stagnant, mosquito-ridden. Cattle
Ugh.
dogs roamed the streets, shitting everywhere. People threw their trash where the fuck they wanted. It was just a dirty, muddy shithole of a town.
Ugh.
And there were not a lot of doctors, which also meant that when the annual outbreaks of malaria or yellow fever happened, it was really hard to find care.
Oof.
Now, Una, do you know what yellow fever is?
You know what? No, I've heard
Right?
of it so many times.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happens to you. I just know that I think I had to get like inoculations when I was traveling.
So after all this research, I had to dive into this because I realized, I say shit like diphtheria and yellow fever, like I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what it is, but no one does. And I just kind of assumed like, oh, this is going to be a racist and or xenophobic name for a common illness these days. It turns out it's not. It's a mosquito-borne illness that when you first get it causes, to quote the WHO via Wikipedia, fevers, chills, loss of appetite, nausea, muscle spasms, and pains in the neck and headaches. Now, for about 15%, the fever goes away for a day. And, you would think this is a good sign. This is the worst sign.
Oh, right.
Because it comes back far worse. So the virus starts attacking your liver during this time, which leads to jaundice, which is how it gets its name, yellow fever.
Oh.
And then the fun stuff starts happening. Your kidneys start to bleed, followed by bleeding from the mouth, eyes, and nose. Also, your gastrointestinal tract starts bleeding, so you start to puke black blood, which is why in Spain, yellow fever is called vomito negro.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Worst of all, some people also get hiccups during this.
But the worst of all.
It's, I'm dying, but I'm also annoyed.
Yeah.
So, only about 3 to 7.5% of people who get yellow fever die, but the fatality rate jumps if you end up in this jaundice phase. Once you get jaundice, you have a 20 to 50% chance of dying. But if you survive, you get the grand prize of all diseases, lifelong immunity.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. As for malaria, the
Eh?
symptoms are pretty much the same as yellow fever, so people have a very hard time distinguishing the two until it's too late.
Oh, I know from, okay, well, my uncle taught in Zambia, I think, for a bit in the 70s and definitely got malaria. And I think he got fevers, chills, but what he remembered most were hallucinations.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
Jesus. So when the regional bout of malaria popped up, which Ray Ginger in his book called the Wabash Shakes, which no one else calls it that. It's
like
just,
how Minnesotans called doing donuts whipping shitties. Everyone's like, what?
I've never heard
Excuse me? Yeah, exactly. No one has. We're not from Minnesota.
I'll let you guys play Duck Duck Gray Duck, but calling them shitties, fuck you. That's not fine.
Agreed. All right, so the what was it? The Waba dance?
The Wabash Shakes.
The Wabash Shakes.
Yeah, that awful 50s one hit. Uh, so I will say Rain Ginger's the only person in the history of the entire internet to ever call it the Wabash Shakes. I don't think anyone else ever has. It
I'm
was
so
hilarious.
into it. Yeah.
And so the second that starts, the couple scrounges all their money together, and for the summer, they just spend the months in New York City.
Ah,
And it works. They return with a living baby daughter that they would name Marie Marguerite, which is
oh,
a flip of Marguerite's full name.
aw.
Yeah. The problem, though, is that when they came back, they still had to start the whole process of Dan finding a job that he will eventually lose.
Oh.
And tired of his constant fail-son antics, Daisy took the family's remaining $40 and used it to create a grocery store in their home.
Okay, yes, enterprising, smart.
Dan was certain the store would fail.
Dan, you're an idiot.
Yeah, but being the good husband
Be a stay-at-home be a stay-at-home dad. Like
he would have been an excellent stay-at-home dad. We're going to
would have
get
been
to
great. Okay.
But, he doesn't believe the store is going to work. But since he's a good husband, he promises he'll serve as the butcher for the store.
Try not to cut your hand off.
I lost my hand. Are you going to fire me?
Damn right I
This is a
am.
firing. Oh, so within a few months of Daisy opening the store, the family began making money to the point they could actually save up. Daisy is what we would call in the modern era too good for Dan.
I thought you were going to say girl boss.
No, 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 no. I mean, she was very strict and stern from what I read, but she loved her family, and that was just her, French-German upbringing. Which leads us to November 5th, 1855, the birth of Eugene Victor Debs. Now, Dan, being the father, got to name the son, and decided to name him after his two favorite authors, Eugene Sue and Victor Hugo.
Incredible.
Eugene spent most of his childhood with his family and helping out with the store. Townsfolk would refer to the Debs family as essentially too closed off for their liking, but this is mostly because Dan and Daisy were very strict about families sticking together and spending time with each other.
Oh.
In an odd twist on the time, Eugene was expected to do chores around the house that would usually be left to the daughters. And this led to Gene spending very little time outside with other children or loitering about and getting in trouble.
So a win-win.
Yeah, it just, Daisy just seems to be a very good fucking parent.
Yeah. Like you're sure as hell not catching diphtheria from these other kids.
So Eugene would start some socializing skills once he was old enough to attend school. The local public school had only just opened and was constantly trying to get money and failing. And honestly, it just wasn't up to Dan's rigorous standards. Eugene would instead be sent to a local private school, which Eugene very quickly hated. Now, it's not so much that Eugene hates learning. If there's one drug of choice for Eugene throughout his life, it is learning. Motherfucker is addicted to it. But the problem, though, is that schools, the way you were taught then, was repetition. Repetition until everyone knew what was being taught. And Eugene gets shit the first time, and this constant repetition drove him fucking nuts.
I love the idea of like looking back at, famous historical people and things like, antics like this and anecdotes of like, yeah, I just hated school but like memorize shit off the bat. I'm like, so ADHD? Can we just like, can we just assume?
Look, we're not going to diagnose a dead man, but it doesn't speculate.
And honestly, it's fun.
I think there could be an argument for that. He's definitely very hyper focused at times. So we you know what? I think this is something we can try and see where we
love it.
So he really couldn't leave school at the time, so he just kept at it. And on Sundays, he would get extra tutoring from his dad. Now, Dan's bad at a lot of things, but the one thing he is good at is tutoring his children. The man has a genuine passion for good literature and passed that on to Eugene. And every Sunday, he would give Eugene a new book. And this really pushed Eugene's love for romantic literature and philosophy. He also taught Eugene how to speak French and German fluently. He would take him out on fishing and hunting trips that also served as lessons on animals, fauna, and wilderness survival. It's not only is it stuff that Eugene wanted to learn, but it is him being taught the way he wanted to learn.
Yeah. Oh, what a cool dad.
Yeah. I mean, this is the reason I can't be too mad at Dan too much, because he sucks at a lot, but he's very good at honestly establishing the morals that Eugene would live with for the rest of his life. Because it's during this time his dad hands him what would become Eugene's favorite book. And that book is Victor Hugo's Les Miserables.
Yeah.
So before getting into how Les Mis really kind of shaped his life, I do need to note that, I'm sure everyone's wondering, if he's being tutored on Sunday, how does he have time to do that with church? And the answer is the Debses never went to church.
Baller.
Once they immigrated to America, they just did not have time for that.
We left that show at the old country.
Eugene, however, would accidentally go to church once. He doesn't really say what age he was. I picture him at around 8 or something, but he's just kind of, going about the town and walks into a church mid-sermon. And the preacher's giving a very sort of fiery sermon. To quote Eugene, the priest delivered an address of hell. I shall never forget it as long as I live. He pictured 1,000 demons and devils with horns and bristling tails, clutching pitchforks steeped in brimstone, and threatening to consume all who did not accept the interpretation of Christianity as given by the priest. I left that church with a rich and royal hatred of the priest as a person and loathing for the church as an institution. I vowed that I would never go inside a church again.
Oh, damn.
And he never did. He does note that in 1868, after winning a school spelling bee, he was awarded a Bible, and inscribed inside was, quote, read and obey. He would later state, quote, I never did either.
Damn, Eugene.
Yeah. So starting off the bat, we got no religion in this man. So as I said, he loved Les Mis, and instead of going to the church for his morality, he went to the next best thing, Jean Valjean. This dude worshipped Jean Valjean as a character. For those of you who may not know, in Les Mis, Jean Valjean is the protagonist who ends up getting thrown in prison for stealing bread to feed his family. He is a tragic hero, and Eugene just saw so much of himself in this man who would give so much to others. And nowhere was this more evident than when Jean got a shift at the family store. Dare I say, Gene might have been the first millennial. While he was clerking, if you went in, you got 2 pounds of apples, put it on the scale. Gene would be like, 2 pounds? That looks like 1.5 pounds to me. Wink.
Hey there, comrade.
He also extended credit to anyone. No questions that if you couldn't afford to pay for everything you needed, nah, you're on credit. You're on Gene's credit.
Meanwhile, Daisy's like, what the fuck is happening this month?
If Daisy didn't love Eugene so much, I guarantee she would have been like that.
That you are fired.
But the most charming of all the things he did is every day he would steal a handful of candy from the grocery store and just hand it out to everyone he passed that day.
Damn, that's so cute.
It's really fucking wonderful. It's this sort of thing that's like, if he turns evil in the future, because I haven't read the whole book yet, I don't know where Gene is going in his future, but this is so charming and good, I don't want the man to change. I want him to keep this.
Right. I want him beaten down by America because he's refused to change.
Right?
Like a Jimmy Stewart character.
And also, I know everyone's thinking, would he have liked the musical Les Mis? And the answer, I think, is an unequivocal yes. There is a small story of his dad taking him to a vaudeville show, and so he had this whole phase of thinking he was going to be a song and dance man. So
Hell yeah.
that if he saw Les Mis, he would have burst into tears the second that he heard, who am I? I'm Jean Valjean.
He would have been hogging the gramophone for months on end, just listening to the soundtrack.
Like, everyone else is busy being a rent kid, and he's like, nah, it's Les Mis, man, you're missing out. I dreamed a dream of days gone by. Fuck you. There's really no good segue on that. For 1870, things were going pretty well for the Debs family, and that's mostly because, the Civil War actually worked out really well for them personally. Terre Haute was a bit of a crossroads for the Union Army, whether they were going down south or being sent back home. So during the Civil War, the grocery store had amazing business of people just coming in and buying shit up. But by 1870, that huge amount of business had completely dwindled, and they really didn't know what to do, and the store was becoming unprofitable. And to make things harder, the family had grown by 2 daughters and 1 son.
Oh, yay.
So now they got 5 mouths to feed with a failing grocery store.
Yeah, and Eugene at the cash register.
Just handed shit out to whoever the fuck. So Gene decided to do the only thing he could. He dropped out of school and took a job with the very railroad that had fired his dad after 2 days.
Oh.
His parents were against the idea, but knew there was little they could do to stop. And also, a job at the railroad would stop him from giving everyone credit and underweighing, oranges or some shit.
Yeah,
I don't know, they had oranges in grocery stores then, right?
Maybe. Yes.
So Eugene quickly found a job degreasing trains for 50 cents a day, which in today's money is $11.75
Wow.
for
Okay.
hours of work.
Right.
And to make things even worse, the degreaser that he used would cause his hands to bleed. And
Oh
since he's
God.
degreasing metal, his knuckles are constantly hitting metal. So his hands and knuckles are bleeding by the end of the day every single day.
Ah.
But Gene isn't Dan. He doesn't quit. He just keeps going in there every single fucking day. To the point, he actually ends up getting a promotion very quickly. So instead of degreasing trains, they now have him painting little details on the side of trains.
Cute.
He takes this new skill and goes to his neighbors and says, "Hey, if you ever need a sign painted, I'll do it for free." So life working for the train company wasn't easy, but within a year, Eugene found himself promoted for a second time. Quoting Ray Ginger, just a week before Christmas, 1871, the engineer from the yard engine snorted into the shop. The engineer's profane explosion ended with the statement that the damn fool fireman had been too drunk to come into work. At that moment, Eugene Debs, with his consent or without it, became a fireman. So for fireman, I imagine we picture a person who puts out fires. A locomotive fireman did the exact opposite.
Ah.
They were the folks who shoveled coal into the engine the whole damn trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so Gene ends up getting, it pays twice as much as he was making, but he also gets introduced to a new kind of hell and work. Because on one side, you have the burner from the train just squelching fire at you the whole time.
Yeah.
On the other side, you have the open train car that leads to the car behind it that has all the coal. So you have the freezing wind and snow coming in on the other side as you're shoveling coal.
Oh, good God.
It's just the constant burning, freezing, burning, freezing.
Uh,
Gene loves it.
yeah.
This
How old
is
is he at this point?
At this point in 1871, he would be 16 years old.
Oh, sure. Yeah. He's going to live for forever.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, and I should also note that this is a very dangerous job because train boilers exploded all the goddamn time. The boiler could explode. You could actually get pushed under a train while it's running. There's just so many ways to be maimed and killed with this work, but Gene is in fucking heaven. He gets a regular shift on the trip from Terre Haute to Indianapolis and ends up spending his extra money going to nighttime business college.
Oh.
So not only is Eugene working very long hours on the train, going to college, he's also still spending a large amount of time with his family because he doesn't want to disappoint his mom.
Oh.
And still has to find time to study. And after that, he maybe gets about 3 hours of sleep per night. And he's doing this 7 days.
Holy shit.
So since he doesn't have much time to study and not much time to sleep, he's not doing well in business college. But
Yeah.
instead of recognizing, hey, maybe it's the work schedule and all of this, instead he thinks to himself, well, I dropped out of high school. I'm just too dumb to understand it.
Oh, no.
He carries this with him for many, many years. And then things get worse. So September 4th, 1872, the New York Sun breaks a story that would become the Credit Mobilier scandal. It's a very weird name for a scandal it's just so dumb on its basis. It's like I don't know how people expected to not get caught. So the scandal begins in 1864, shortly after the Union Pacific Railroad is founded. The Union Pacific Railroad is actually founded by the government, or chartered by the government to exist. And in 1864, they're given a contract to build the eastern section of the Transcontinental Railroad.
Okay.
And so they decide, why don't we just make our own construction company then? And we'll get that construction company the contract to build the railroad. So they form the Credit Mobilier of America Company, which should be noted, Credit Mobilier was and continues to this day to be a highly respected French bank with no relation whatsoever to Credit Mobilier of America.
Oh, damn.
In a strange bit of accounting, the Transcontinental Railroad cost about $15 million to make, but Credit Mobilier charged the government $94 million.
Hey, how about that?
It's wild. I don't know how these mistakes happen.
Inflation.
So, the Credit Mobilier contract ends up getting a lot of executives at the Union Pacific Railroad about $44 million or $829 million in today's money.
God damn.
But they didn't just split it amongst each other. That'd be fucking stupid and greedy. So they took a little bit of it and used it to bribe politicians.
That's just a good investment.
Yeah. But you know what? You can't trust the mail. You can't put that bribe money in the mail. You got to get someone to deliver it personally.
A singing telegram.
I mean, that would have been a better idea. Instead, they went up to Congressman Oakes Ames of Massachusetts and said, hey, we would like you to be in charge of Credit Mobilier of America. And part of your job is going to be taking this bribe money and giving it to other congressmen so that they pass laws that are favorable to Union Pacific. And Oakes very quickly takes them up on the job and does this for a number of years.
Wow.
So it ends up falling apart when Oakes pisses off another CEO from a different railroad company. And this CEO takes all of these letters of correspondence, gives it to the New York Sun, and the New York Sun breaks the story in 1872. Ends up implicating a bunch of congressmen, senators, the vice president of America at the time.
Whoa.
Yeah. And thanks to this, the Union Pacific goes on the brink of bankruptcy. And to save the company, they cut pay drastically for all rail workers and laid off the rest. And the rest included Eugene.
No.
So now out of work and with no work opportunities remaining in Terre Haute, Eugene does the only thing that he could think to do, hop a train in search of rail work elsewhere. Daisy begs him not to do this, but in his mind, it's the only thing he knows how to do. So he goes to the Indiana city of Evansville, finds there's no work there whatsoever. So he hops the next train and ends up finding work as a fireman in St. Louis. And Eugene, I think as much as Eugene loved humanity, he equally hated St. Louis.
Yeah.
It's the largest city he's ever been to in his life, and once he got there, he found a place that just confused him. In Terre Haute, working for the train company, you could buy a house. You could maybe have enough food, but you can at least grow enough that you would need. In St. Louis, there were people with full-time jobs who were getting kicked out of their apartments for not paying rent. There were families starving near to death. There were shanty towns on the outskirts of St. Louis with people who had full-time jobs but were still effectively homeless.
It's like me going to the Bay Area. It's like, I guess the weather's nice,
Yeah,
but like, guys.
not great. So Eugene wasn't quite the active socialist as he would become in the future, so he handled it the way I think a lot of millennials do. He read any book that he could get his hands on to distract him. He put his head down and focused on his work. And at night, he would literally fall into depression spirals until he fell asleep.
Damn.
The worst of which came in 1873 on the day that he realized would have been his graduation day for high school. And according to Ray Ginger, he cried himself to sleep that night.
Oh my God.
I don't think I've ever felt so much of myself in a person that we've covered. Like,
Yeah.
I fucking get it, Gene. The world fucking sucks and then you die. It's
You just wanted to make it a better place.
So I think we need a cute side note to cheer that up. He shared an apartment with a coworker, and the roommate noted that after the two went to bed after work, he would sometimes wake up and find Eugene reading at the desk they shared. And after this, they sort of created a little in-joke with each other, where the roommate would call him a damn fool, and Eugene would laugh and turn to him and say, "Yeah, probably." And then the guy went back to sleep, and Eugene kept reading.
Oh.
And to show how awesome of a dude Eugene was, the guy said that every single time he woke up, he noticed that Eugene had a shade over the candle that he used to read by.
Oh, so he wouldn't disturb.
Yeah, so he
disturb
wouldn't wake up his friend.
Oh.
The roommate would say in a later interview, quote, "I still believe there was a damn fool in that room, but I know now that it wasn't Debs."
Oh.
It's too fucking sweet.
It's so cute.
So Eugene kept at his job until 1874. During this whole time, Daisy is basically sending a letter writing campaign to Eugene begging for him to come back to Terre Haute because every single day she's reading about train accidents and people dying on the job. But Eugene at this time, he's at 74, so he's, 19. He's 19. He's gonna live forever. And
Yeah.
like all 19
Baby bird's gotta fly. Yeah.
Right. And like all 19-year-olds of any time, he writes back to his mom, "I'm fine, don't worry about it." And he does this until one day a friend of his falls under a train while it's moving and dies. And he decides, you know what, maybe mom's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he quits his job, goes back to Terre Haute, and takes a job as a billing clerk for a grocery store, which sounds like a bad idea because his whole job is keeping inventory. Now, I should note, he gets the job because the guy who runs the grocery store is friends with his dad, and Eugene doesn't want to embarrass his dad, so he does the job as he should. He's showing up to work in a gray suit, constantly, writing down like 20 sacks of coffee showed up today, 10 sacks of millet.
Yeah.
And he hates it. He hates it so much. It's so boring.
Yeah. Where's the action?
Right. This isn't, I don't have fire and ice hitting me at all fucking times. I'm not going to strange parts of the fucking state. I'm counting out apples and this is fucking bullshit.
Can't even give the apples away.
Right. That was the best part. That's the best part of working at a grocery store is just giving people shit and seeing them smile. So His employer at the grocery store views Eugene as a rising star in his company, but the last thing Eugene wants is a lifetime in that industry. Quote, there are too many things in business that I cannot tolerate. Business means grabbing for yourself, unquote. So on days that he had off, he searched for something that was very non-business. He'd go to local rail yards, talk with his friends, kind of, live through them and just, see what's going on. And it was during one of these visits that he heard that a man named Joshua Leach was coming to town. And Joshua was the Grand Master of the Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen, the only
Ooh.
union for locomotive firemen.
Oh.
And he found out he was coming to Terre Haute to start a local union. And Eugene was so excited to go that he decided he was going to help however he could before he even heard a word. So after hearing Leach speak, Eugene made his way to the front and, despite no longer working for the railroad in any capacity, joined the union. And he was then elected to be the secretary of the local lodge.
Hey.
So in this position, Eugene was very silent during meetings, but behind the scenes, he was an ardent activist in the union's one movement to get cheap life insurance for trained firemen. So he wrote to union lodges across the country to gather statistics on accidents, injuries, and insurance claims. And this attitude made Leach take notice of Eugene and led him to believe that one day Debs would be a great leader in the movement. The problem, though, is most of the people who joined the union could give a fuck about life insurance. Now, this is mostly because the life insurance that the union was able to get was still too expensive. And so the firemen were like, why don't we stop the reason we need life insurance? Why don't we make, I don't know, the train safer, or we work less hours, or we get paid more? All of these would be great.
Can we have some benefits we can use while we're alive?
Right. Yes. And the union did not listen to them. And so in every single meeting that Eugene had to take notes, he constantly heard how people wanted these things, but how the union leadership would not acquiesce to that. But it was noted that, or at least according to Ginger, he believes that Eugene never quit the union because that would be an admission of defeat and that he was wrong. And so he just could not leave. But then, for the Brotherhood, since they didn't listen, national membership fell. And by 1877, rail workers had had enough. The Great Railroad Strike of 1877 kicked off on July 14th in Martinsburg, West Virginia. And this happened due to the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad announcing that for the third year in a row, they were going to cut wages. And this time it was a cut of 10%.
Ah.
Now, I'll remind you, too, at this time, railroad barons are very fucking rich. They're doing great.
Yeah.
And so this last pay cut was more than enough for the people of Martinsburg. So they walked off the job site, stood on the railroad tracks, and refused to let trains in or out of the city.
Solidarity.
Now, it should be noted that at this time, striking is illegal.
Right.
And fun fact, to this day, railroad strikes are still illegal. So are airplane strikes. So
thanks, Reagan. Yep.
And yeah, so they stand on the railroad tracks, refusing to let the trains leave or go. So the governor calls in the state militia to make them stop. The state militia kills one of the strikers.
Oh.
But they don't stop. They stay there. So the governor of West Virginia calls on Rutherford B. Hayes, who was president of America at the time, and said, hey, could you please send federal troops to make these people stop? And this ends up being enough. But the use of federal troops ends up spurring on the strike into other states.
Hey.
In Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York, and Missouri, strikes spontaneously start up there. They last for about 52 days and are finally broken by a mix of state militias and the Pinkertons, who end up jailing about 1,000 strikers and killing somewhere over 100. And the union doesn't get any. And, the strike's not a success, but it ends up propelling a huge increase in union membership, but only for the unions that supported the strike. The union that Debs was in was vehemently against striking in any regard, and so was Eugene Debs.
Oh.
At the time, Debs, at the time of the strike, Debs had been promoted to a national position and was a delegate at the union's national convention. And while there, he stated that, yes, the reason for the strike was reasonable, but the result of what happened with all these people dying and striking being illegal so the state is allowed to do this means that we should never encourage people to go on strike, ever.
But what would Jean Valjean do?
What would he do? I mean, that should really be the question that Eugene should be asking himself right now, but he's not. So after making this proclamation at the Union National Convention, it wasn't just the Unioneers there who were really impressed by his speech. The local Terre Haute Democrats also started to take notice, and they thought, this kid needs to run for office. And they said, hey, Gene, you're 24. Life's not that long. Why don't you run for Congress for us? And Eugene, being, the homebody mama's boy that he is, said, no, I want to stay in Terre Haute because I think getting away will
Oh,
scare my mom.
yeah, I will.
So the next year, he ran for city clerk of Terre Haute.
Yes, good. Start
And
local.
he won by a landslide of 1,000 votes
Oh,
at
damn.
the age of 24. So the thing is, though, is that Eugene might now be a politician, but he's still a very feisty millennial. Ginger notes that by 1879, Terre Haute had evolved from being a disease-ridden shithole to the state capital of booze and sex work.
Oh, shit. Wait, what brought that on?
I guess just more an increase of rail work.
I guess
Was
so.
my best guess.
Damn.
It had become such an issue that the majority of the city clerk's job at the time was to collect fines from sex workers. The thing, though, is Eugene wasn't ever going to do that. In his mind, sex workers had it hard enough, and the last thing he was certain they needed was some punk kid coming down and demanding they pay their fines.
Wow, we got a woke bae in the house.
Well, to make things even better, the new city attorney, a man by the name of Tom Harper, agreed with Eugene and proposed that maybe the cops should go after the pimps and the people who
Mm,
were lording over the sex workers.
yes.
The problem, though, is that if the police did that, where are they gonna get bribes? So, for a 2-year period, Eugene Debs did not collect a single fine metered out to a sex worker, and the city attorney encouraged him to never give up. The city
Dope.
attorney also, I think, I was gonna skip this story, but he hated the cops, and being city attorney only made him hate cops more.
Incredible.
But Tom Harper was also a guy that everyone knew that if you had a charitable thing going on or were raising money for anything, he would give a fuck ton of cash. So
Oh,
one time after he was city attorney, a person came to him asking for money for a memorial fund. And the guy said, it's for a cop who died. We're trying to raise $1 so we can have a good funeral service. So Tom Harper said, hey, here's $5. Bury that many cops for me.
god damn.
Yeah,
Wow.
I Tom Harper deserves his own autobiography. I want to know more
Yes.
about him. That's such a just hits very hard. So by 1881, Debs would end up winning re-election, but only won by 2 votes. And Ginger attributes this to the fact that Eugene was just a really nice guy to everyone in town. He would state that he knew the first names of everyone in Terre Haute. That seems impossible.
Yeah, this is in Iceland.
Yeah, right. Not everyone's named Earlson. But I do probably agree with the fact he knew a majority of people, and he always called people by their first name if he knew who they were. And, even people who hated him to his face were still treated well by Eugene. Eugene was
Hmm.
just like Ted Lasso season 1.
Yeah.
All these people are calling him a wanker, but he's just, smiles and shrugs, goes about his day.
It's like, well, you know what? My parents love me.
You're right. My mom loves me. That's all I need.
Yeah. So,
So by the time of his reelection, the majority of the town viewed him as a saint, but there was a very loud minority who thought he was, quote, a dangerous idiot. But those are good numbers.
yeah.
The upside of the way that Eugene was doing things is that if you're not wasting your time hassling sex workers, it opens up a ton of other opportunities. Like, I don't know, becoming the secretary treasurer for the Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen. So it turns out the dude who was the secretary treasurer kept showing up to work drunk, so they fired him. And the head of the organization couldn't think of anyone better than Gene to take the job. The problem, though, is Eugene did not want it. At the time,
Oh,
the union was $6,000 in debt. They'd only succeeded in getting 60 local unions throughout the entire country. And honestly, if he played his cards right, after his mom and dad pass on, he could easily be a congressman. He just had to keep it this local government thing until he finally could, move on.
oh.
So the union visited Eugene 3 different times, and each time he said no. But in their final meeting with Debs, that they kind of played their trump card with him, that they knew he would have no chance of saying no. They told
If you
Eugene,
if you don't do this for us, we'll kill
no,
ourselves.
no, he'll be close. Actually, close. They said he was the only man that they could trust to save the union.
And he was
So,
like, we do things my way. We listen to the people who want to join the
yeah,
unions.
we're doing things the Dan Debs way. And Eugene agreed to the job, but with one stipulation. They had to move their headquarters to Terre Haute, which they did immediately.
This sweet 20-something homebody.
Right? I mean, honestly, though, it ends up being a very fucking good deal. With the union now in town, Eugene got to work hiring some family members. As you do. The first was his brother Theodore, who was 17 at the time, who he hired to be the union's bookkeeper. Now, I'm going to say this because I need someone else to agree with me. I need to know I'm not the only person who sees this, but Theodore Debs is a dead ringer for Robert Englund, who is most famous for playing Freddy Krueger.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like, if there was any justice in the world, there would be a Eugene Debs movie where Robert Englund played Theodore.
Yeah, that's great.
After that, he hired two of his sisters, Emma and Eugenie, or I think that's how it's said in French. It's the feminine Eugene.
Eugene?
Yeah, Eugene. Hired them both to be unpaid stenographers. One of them left a decently paying teaching job just to do this.
Damn, okay.
He also gave Tom Harper a job as an advisor and the union's official attorney. And he hired Tom Harper's wife, Ida, to head up the women's department of the magazine because he felt that the union wasn't doing enough to get rail workers' wives involved in the movement.
Oh, yeah.
So after doing this, then came dealing with the $6,000 of debt, which is about $180,000 in today's money.
Oof.
The bills included $1,000 of unpaid insurance reimbursement, $1,800 that was still owed to the printer of their magazine, and $3,200 in back pay for officers of the union. So in total, he had about $99 in cash to work with through the union. They had another $183 in money orders and a $20 bank draft. So not quite enough money to make things. So within a week, Eugene fixed it. He personally paid out all the insurance claims. He signed a personal promissory note to the printers and got everyone who was owed back pay to agree to forego payment until the union was financially stable.
Whoa.
And as a little bonus, he called in some favors from local businessmen to back the union's line of credit and to make them stable again.
Okay. Okay. So he's good with money.
Right. I mean, he did that in a fucking week. And the union hadn't. It's just astounding to me. So this would end up being the easy hurdle because the other issue that was going on was that the 1880 National Convention was coming up and all of the delegates just wanted to pack it up and move on. The union was failing. They're not opening new branches. They might as well just quit now and just move on. So Eugene showed up to the convention the day before, and he went room to room of the hotel where everyone was staying at and personally appealed to every single one of the delegates to keep the union going and promised that if they stuck with him, he could make it solvent.
Oh, wow.
And Gene, being the charismatic and likable guy that he is, convinced every single one. And the union kept going for another few years. So mind you, while he's doing this, he's still city clerk of Terre Haute.
Right.
So he's doing this on weekends.
He's not doing that thing where you open an Outlook email and then like do your own shit to look like you're working.
Pandemic double dipping on jobs. So on the weekend, he's also making local trips to try to increase membership. But he doesn't end up doing this all on his own. He has enough forethought to know that taking everything on himself is going to fail. So he gets some trusted members of the union to start increasing membership on their own. And sure enough, membership increases to the point that membership raises, dues raise, and, within a couple of years, the union is 100% solvent and membership is growing.
Bada bing, bada boom.
But now that the BLF was becoming a real union, it led to railroad companies to fear that maybe they're going to become as powerful as the other unions that pushed the strike in 1877. And as such, union officials were blacklisted from sites or just physically thrown out of offices. And it's the latter that led to one hell of a life-defining story for Debs. As it goes, a union official was thrown out of an office of the vice president of the Pennsylvania Railroad. This official then went to Terre Haute to tell Eugene all about it. The second the guy was done, Eugene goes down to the train station and buys a ticket to Pennsylvania. He walks from the train station to the VP's office. And when he enters the room, the VP stands and says, quote, "Before we go any further, I want you to know, Debs, that I don't give a goddamn for the Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen." Gene replied with, quote, "And I want you to know I don't give a goddamn for the Pennsylvania Railroad. I'm not here to get your opinion. I'm here to get courteous treatment for our officials."
Woo-hoo-hoo.
According to eyewitnesses, a very profanity-laden argument occurred for the next hour. Some said it rumbled throughout the building and everyone could hear it. Just two giant men who are very used to loud noises screaming at each other. And by the end of the hour, the VP offered Debs a job with the Pennsylvania Railroad, to which Deb curtly said no.
Yeah.
The VP then offers him a year-long pass on the Pennsylvania Railroad, to which Deb once again says no, but I will take a free ride back to Terre Haute.
Mom's cooking dinner.
You made me miss one day with my mom, you fuck. And so what he ends up getting is a few months of courteous treatment for the officials from the Pennsylvania Railroad. But he gains something even more from this. As word travels throughout the country about Debs standing up to this executive, they start to realize that fuck, if Debs is going to do this for one guy, he's absolutely going to stand up for the union if we join it. And so
Yeah.
membership doubles in the year, then doubles again the next year.
Hell yeah.
So by now, the debts the union owed were gone, and the BLF had gone from certain bankruptcy to one of the most respected unions in the nation. That said, this also came due to his more conservative view of improving workers' rights. He still refused to view strikes as a necessary tool in improving conditions, and believed that a cordial conversation between men could sway even the wealthiest rail baron into common sense care for the workers. It was an attitude that ended up making the BLF the union of choice for rail mags. They still hated their workers unionizing, but if they could at least guarantee the machine could keep running even during disagreements, then they might as well keep supporting Eugene Debs and just keep him happy. They just had to make sure that Debs always stood firm on being anti-strike. And this would be a very foolish thing to hope. And in part two, we're going to go over the metamorphosis of Gene Debs from anti-strike railwayman to very pro-strike ultra-union power boss.
My favorite kind of butterfly.
It's pretty great. So I expected something shitty about Eugene throughout this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of over the moon that he's just a sweet boy. He's just,
Yeah.
he's still early in his life, but all of the things that I would come to expect as a red flag from him, they're not. They're just him being a sweet guy and doing his best.
I'm just here waiting for the meet cute to happen with.
Oh my God. So a bit of a spoiler warning. There is a second book that I am going to be using for when Eugene gets married, because the woman he gets married to, they love each other to death. She hates politics. She hates Eugene as a part of politics. She hates all this union shit. But they make it work.
Oh.
So I'm very excited to read the sole book dedicated to them somehow making a marriage work, even though they have a strong disagreement in one major part of their life.
Pretty major, too.
Yeah, very major. But also, I think it's a great sign of Eugene as a person to,
Yeah.
I doubt he separates it from his private life. Part of that because during his union years, his mom would often walk up into his bedroom in the middle of, like at midnight, to see if he'd gone to bed. And Eugene would just be asleep at his desk, laying on a letter he was halfway done writing. And she would just leave him, snuff out the light and move on. That's just who he's going to be. He's going to wake up. He's going to finish the letter. He'll probably finish 3 more before breakfast.
Right. But no sense in letting the candle run.
Right. Yeah, we're not made out of candles, Eugene. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, thoughts, feelings, opinions so far?
Love it. Love all of it. So glad we got to meet Les Debs prior to the United States, because I feel like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense of
yeah,
there's at least with Dan Deb Senior, just it's what a difference not having financial trauma passed on, where it's just right. Can just kind of start new, but then also there's kind of a happy-go-luckiness to it, and so he's just going to teach his kid how to be a good person.
It's incredible, because I would expect a bit of money trauma coming out of the family constantly struggling, but it's never really there as far as I can tell. Eugene absolutely hates income disparity, and he hates seeing people suffer, and I think that being the bigger lesson out of it, instead of I just need more money, it's to help people not suffer.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, I do joke about him being a millennial quite a bit, but I just picture, Daisy and Dan as, parents, as, baby boomer parents who she's the smart one, so she's doing the job. Dan's staying at home being a really kick-ass father.
Yeah.
And, their millennial son who's a bit of a knucklehead. Sherry's stealing from the store, but we can't have Teddy work in the storefront. He's 7. No. We got to deal with this little chuckle fuck until he's old enough to work for the railroads. But god darn it, we love him. Ah, man. So yeah, I really hope the story stays just as sweet as it started. But yeah, next time we'll be talking about his continued politics, his continued time as being a Democrat, his work in the Ultra Union, the American Railway Union, and his marriage to Kate Metzel.
Woo! Yay!
So yeah, I guess we'll see you next time here on Gadfly. I don't know what to do. It's a happy story. I feel good. What's this feeling? Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?